The serratus or foam roller slide is one of my favorite ways to target the serratus anterior, which is a really important but often underutilized or often unknown muscle group. The serratus anterior runs from the back side of the body and is innervated by the long thoracic nerve on the posterior portion of the body and runs and wraps underneath to the rib cage. It's a really cool looking muscle if it's well developed. It almost looks like little ridges on top of your rib cage. And it plays a vital role in scapular movement, or being able to control and stabilize the shoulder blade. And it's also the prime mover in the first 20 degrees of overhead flexion of the shoulder. So oftentimes people just assume that they're only working the deltoid when they're raising the arm overhead, and that's absolutely not the case. But to make sure that we're targeting the serratus and not the deltoid, we're going to stay in a fairly narrow range of motion. Sliding, in this case a PVC pipe and a foam roller or carpet sliders will work really well too, in a very limited motion in which the serratus is truly the main muscle group that's working. So I'm going to start right about here where my arm makes a triangle with my wrist a little bit above my shoulder. If we get too low, I'll start to get into what's known as an anterior glide, and my shoulder will kind of roll forward. You want to keep the shoulder packed down and back whenever possible here. I want to really pay attention to feeling almost like a pinching or activation right here along my rib cage. And I'm only going to move in a small range of motion from my wrist to roughly the elbow, trying to focus on a lot of my pressure or force being into the wall or into the roller. Here. Again, this does not need to be a large range of motion. This is about where the serratus stops being the prime mover within the overhead flexion that I'm performing at the shoulder and humerus. If you'd like, you can also perform this on the ground. We would consider that a regressed version, but really here we're going for kind of feel and mind muscle connection, so whichever you prefer is fine. Here I'll be in a quadruped position with my knees under my hips and my elbows roughly under my shoulders to start, and I'll perform the same movement, focusing on pushing a lot of my weight or force into the roller, into the ground. Really staying in that narrow range of motion.